All right, everybody, we are back. It is your favorite Raiders podcast, Tape Don't Lie. It's been a little bit, it was not that long, about a week and a half. We gave you a little week and a half break after we did broke down Gus Bradley. Appreciate all the subscribers we got from that. We're over 3,000 now, almost about like 3,100. So, we're doing
Hey,
pretty good. Doing pretty good. So we appreciate everybody coming in, listening to us. Appreciate all the listeners, leaving your comments, leaving the feedback. So make sure if this is your first time here, hit subscribe, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to us. Subscribe to Tape Don't Lie. Also, make sure you follow us on Twitter at the Mark John NFL for me, at BD Williams 18 for BD Williams. So, what I'm saying? So we're back. I mean, there hasn't been too much news, a little bit of Raiders news on the side, but what we're doing today, we're talking about defensive tackles, which is a position of need. I mean, the whole D line seems like a position of need. We need some pass rush, need to put a run a little better. You know what I'm saying? So we're looking at defensive tackles today. We're gonna do a little pro versus rookie. Not rookie, I mean pro versus prospect. Do a little pro scouting, see what we got out there for the pros, and then we're gonna look at what everybody loves, who's in the draft. All right. So
right. You have the fun one. You have the
yeah,
fun one.
yeah.
Draft scout versus pro scout. But
Hmm.
I like this format. I like this format going back and forth between some guys who are coming out, which
Hmm.
that's everyone's gonna click on this video because of those guys, because of
Yeah.
your segment, right?
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
I'm perfectly fine with that, and but I get to grind some NFL all 22 to look at some potential fits in the free agent market for, maybe some guys who might fit Gus Bradley's scheme as a defensive tackle. So I think this brings a lot. This brings some college tape. This brings some pro tape. So yeah, I like the way that this is going to shake out here. So Marcus,
Yes.
defensive tackle.
Hmm.
Raiders need a defensive tackle. Why?
Why do they need a
They have
defense?
Maurice Hurst.
So I mean, well, let's keep it real. Let's keep it real.
Okay.
Brees Hurst, he's got a lot of talent. Um, he's got a lot of talent, and I think that he does have a lot of reach potential. But we're going on what, year 4 from Brees Hurst, and we haven't really got what he doesn't really played anybody off. Let's say that, like, he hasn't kept the Raiders from looking at upgrading a defensive tackle. He has not kept anybody off the field or like that. Or you can make the case that maybe he should get more playing time for sure. But I mean, the Raiders, they need upgrades everywhere. I think. I know Jonathan Hankins. Um, I know he's a good player, but you know, I mean, they definitely could find somebody to replace him. Is he a free agent? I can't think of that right now.
He is a free agent.
Okay, I thought so. So I mean,
Yes.
so defense tackle too. I mean, the Raiders going to need somebody who can play the run and play the one technique and line up in different areas. And think they got to find guys that can, who are able to play more snaps, I think too. Maybe find some guys that aren't as rotational,
Hmm.
like some guys that could play some 3 down defense tackles that, like, you can move around anywhere. You can put them at wherever technique you want to put them at, and they could be able to make plays. And you ain't got to worry about, okay, I got to get this guy off because he can't rush the passer. You could have somebody that's in there that could play the one technique, play the 3 technique, or play a three technique, one technique on first down. Play 2 technique or whatever you need to play, and then go and play the 3 technique on third down, right? And then you can move some other guys around, and they do the 4-3 unders. So there's going to be some guys who would line up at 4 or 5 technique, right? There's going to be some guys who do that, and so they need a lot, I think, to play Gus Bradley's scheme too. They got to upgrade at defense tackle. Everybody knows it. I mean, I think it's one of the you'll find mock drafts. I mean, they're reaching on guys like Dayvion Nixon at 17. I mean, so the rate it is a position of need for the Raiders, but so is edge. Which we'll get into another episode. But um, yeah, the Raiders got to do something at defensive line. They got to upgrade it for sure.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback off that. 100%. The Raiders need um, guys who can play all 3 downs. Okay, and not just rotational guys like you're saying.
Hmm.
Well said. 100% need that. The other thing I'll say too, which is really interesting because I was diving into this. Okay. So going back to the 4 years that Gus Bradley was the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and then these last 4 years that he was the defensive coordinator for the Chargers. Okay. The Raiders, I'm sorry, under Gus Bradley, those teams only selected one defensive tackle who weighed over 300 pounds.
Wow.
The average weight was 293 pounds for the 5 defensive tackles that were selected, either when he was with the Jacksonville Jaguars or the Chargers. And something that I really noticed from watching the last couple of years of Gus Bradley's defense is that he likes those lighter defensive tackles. He likes guys who get into the backfield. He likes gap penetrators, right? And I think that if you look at, obviously, Malik Collins, like, they're not bringing that guy back, right? Jonathan Hankins doesn't really fit that, right? As far as like gap penetrating defensive tackles, like that's not his game. He's the guy who controls the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Maurice Hurst fits that, right?
Yeah.
But you got to have multiple. You can't have just 1 or 2 of them. You got to have like 3 or 4 guys who who can get in on a rotation, maybe play some run, maybe play some pass, but still be able to penetrate into the backfield on all downs. So I think that just looking at that, that's what Gus Bradley likes to deploy on his defensive line on the interior. I think that I wouldn't be surprised if the Raiders get a free agent defensive tackle,
Yeah.
and draft a defensive tackle. To kind of make this rotation of guys who can get into the backfield. So keep that in mind. And under 300 pounds. So that's something that I was looking at for my free agents, guys who kind of fit the body type that Gus Bradley has traditionally had. So that's what I'll be looking at. But why don't you kick us off? Why don't you get us started with the draft? With the draft prospects at defensive tackle.
All right. So let's go ahead and hit up these defensive tackles. So I want to start off with my top sleeper, right? My top sleeper in the draft. And this is a guy that I don't, I haven't really seen that many people talk about. And he was really hyped before the season, and that is Tufele, right? 6'3", 315 pounds, but he moves like he's 290. And BD was just talking about that. That weight limit, but the way that Tufele moves, it is pretty special. So this dude is a big monster, and he is definitely a more of a run stuffer. Doesn't add that much in the pass game, but against the run, you see right here, he's just a master shedder, master with the block shed. We'll bring this play back one more time. You'll see here. Basically his technique, you see hands a little outside, but he's got the other hand inside. It looks like his pad level. This dude's 6'3", right? So he's able to have that base, and that when he has leverage, he can just shed like whenever he wants to, right? So, and this play is 4th and 1. This is for the game, right? 4th and 1. Watch, you feel like just shed him, easy, nothing, right? There's like it's nothing. So he's just shedding, breaking down plays, just like. He does this in his sleep, and this is one of my favorites here. He does this big hit right here. Boom. So that is a monster in itself. I really like Jay, and that's somebody that I think the Raiders could probably sneak and get like late day two, if they really enjoyed him. So is anybody worth the 17th pick? That's the big question the Raider fans have to say, but I don't think so. In my personal opinion, I mean, I would think they would have to trade back, but if there was one guy they would take, it's Levi Onwuzukike. 6'3", 290, right? He got weighed right at 290 at the Senior Bowl. He's having a really good Senior Bowl, and this guy is probably the most complete defensive tackle in this draft. He plays the run well, and he rushes the passer well. So we're gonna watch him here. Boom! Look at that. Just because that guy's raising his hands, right? Like he's at a concert, making the play right there. Those great hands inside, great base. You see, he's tall and he's very muscular, but he has great hands, right? And you see the speed right here, the burst, this boom, burst through, Great play right there, right? So you got great burst, great everything, and then you see him here rushing the passer. Boom, nice spin move, right? So you see everything. He's got hands. He's got good. He's good against the run. He can rush the passer. He's quick, right? Quick off the ball. Great burst. His favorite thing I love about him is burst off the line. Like he reads keys off the line. He's the first one. And you saw that one play. He could burst through the line and cause disruption. Onwuzukike, he's probably, I would say he is my DT1. If I was doing a list, he would be the guy I would go with. I think he has the most upside, and as a pass rusher and a three down lineman, I think that is a three down guy. Now, day two guys, we got day two, day three value. I'm going through over two guys that I really like. One guy you probably really heard of, and the other guy is Marlon Tuipulotu. Now, Marlon Tuipulotu is having an awesome Senior Bowl too. He's really making a name for himself. But this dude's 6'3", 308. He is just a monster. That's the only way I could describe Tuipulotu is just monstrous. So you see him right here against the run. This is quick. Just made 72 look silly right there. Come on, man. Forks up. You're not doing right by ASU right there, man. But all right, look what he does at 72. This is quick work, right? Just sheds real quick, right? Great hands, quick hands, great base, makes the tackle, right? And then we'll go back to his junior year here, and we'll watch him just basically create an interception here with this pressure. Look how quick he gets through. So, he can rush the passer pretty well. Marlon he's got some speed. Look how quick he is off that line with that burst. Just boom, just packs a hit. I've still don't understand how anybody can run the ball in UFC these 2 seasons. I got to figure that out. But here he is once again rushing the passer with the long arm. Look, he put the long arm in. Ooh, just pushing him, and then the finish, right? The finish, make the tackle, great power. Yeah, I love Tuipulotu. He has some upside, right? And BD talked about the weight and size, but I don't know. I feel like that guy plays like he's 290. And then we got Dayvion Nixon, which I call Dayvion Nixon. He is the technician of this whole draft. This dude is a technician. So that's the basic way I could explain it. This first play I'm going to show, you're going to see it because he's going to do one of the most textbook things to beat a double team you see, right? See how he kind of split the double team right there? He put his hip into it. That's that's what teaching tape, right? That is what teach tape with like, right? You see him sideways. So he puts his butt into it so he can slip in through it. That's teach tape for breaking a double team. Tackle for loss. That's teach tape by Nixon, right? And then you see Nixon. He's also got some pass rushing skills too. So I mean, I really like the D tackle class. I think we'll give it a lot of flack because there's no Derek Brown. And I think that's what happens with these draft class things when there's no, it's like edge. Everybody's trying to say like the edge class isn't good because there's no Chase Young, right? There's no top end guys. I mean, there's no Brian Burns or anything like that in draft, but there's still good edge rushers, right? And there's still good defensive tackles. I think you can get a really good starter in this draft, no matter where they go. I mean, if they go early though. I mean, I didn't show Christian Barmore. I got a breakdown on on the page. We'll go ahead and post that as a link for Christian Barmore. But my thing with Barmore always is his pad level is just way too high for me. And he is a pass rusher, and that's basically what he is right now. And he's really good at it. He's really, 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 really good at it. I mean, I told PD in the DM that he was a fat defensive end. That's basically how he plays. Like, because I've seen him line up and bend around tackles, man. And Christian Barmore, he's really, really, really can play, right? But it's all pass rush. I mean, he didn't play that much in Alabama to start the year. And, some people say he's hurt, but once we got further onto the season, we saw more of the pass rusher. But, against the run, man, he's a liability. And you'd have to get his pad. You'd have to get his pad level down. A lot of things you have to work on with Christian Barmore. So he's more of a boomer bust. So, I mean, if the Raiders did take him at 17, I mean, it'll be more of a development thing to me. Like he could probably help on third down right away, but he wouldn't be like Onwuzukike. Onwuzukike might not figure out the pass rush part of it first, but he'd be able to stop the run. And while he figures out how to rush the passer by year 2, year 3, he'd be a 8 to 10 sack guy, in my opinion. I think Onwuzukike. In my opinion, I think so too.
Wow.
Yeah, I could
Wow.
see that in about 2 or 3 years, him being like an 8 to 10 sack guy based on his quickness, his burst, his hands, everything. Yeah, I feel like just the modern size. Like Cam Hayward's 295. There's guys like that are have that 290 size that he has, but he has the strength that he
Yeah.
plays like he's 310, and that's all that matters. As long as you have the strength and the play strength, he has it, and that burst too. I mean, you have to beat him off the line, and if you don't, he's gonna win with leverage.
That's the craziest thing about Onwuzukike to me is because when you hear his weight or when you read that he weighs under 300 pounds,
Yeah,
you're thinking, oh, this is like a finesse kind of guy. He's going to be like a pass rusher only, and then you just see him like manhandling these offensive linemen in the Pac-12. Like bodies are hitting the floor, like, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh my goodness, this guy is very like he's real strong. He's like strong, right?
yeah, he's strong.
So like that's the most impressive thing and like most exciting thing about Onwuzukike to me is like, yeah, you can maybe learn technique, but you can't teach some guy to be that strong at that weight. Like that's something that that his mama gave him.
Yeah,
So
he's.
gotta love that. Gotta love that about Onwuzukike.
I feel
But
bad for number 50 for Utah, man. I don't know what he's doing right now, but man, he had a rough day.
um,
Rough day with Levi. I'll tell you that.
also, you're really shouting out the Pac-12 right there. I
I know.
appreciate that.
That's why I'm also want to say that's probably why y'all hating on the DTs this draft because West Coast,
You never saw them.
you never saw them.
They were on at 9:00 at night.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah,
kidding. That's funny.
yeah. But I mean, some other DTs I'll talk about. I mean, there's some nose tackles, but the Raiders really don't need a nose tackle. But like, I really like Tyler Shelvin. Like, if they really, if the Raiders really gonna get a nose tackle, like they need to get him, but they don't need one, so I don't think they're gonna do that. Um, I mean, there's some other guys in there too that are pretty good. I mean, Ali McNeil, but he's another nose tackle too. So it's just not a lot of depth. After you get to you get to Tyquan Graham. I mean, unless you wanted to move Carlos Basham inside, which that's a project, which I think a lot of the NFL is trying to decide whether they want to do that because he's 280, 290. And he plays defensive end, but he's really quick. So he's kind of like, but he's never played inside. So they're trying to play him inside. So I hope the Raiders don't do that because they had enough projects. We've seen from these Mayock interviews that they kind of handle those projects wrong. But it's more. There's not a lot of depth with the defensive tackle class. Like there's these 5 guys like at the top that are all good players, and I think once you get past those 5, it kind of just starts to slow down a little bit, in my opinion.
Interesting.
So
Okay. Well, thank you. I haven't dove into all those names, so that's definitely gonna be helpful for Raider Nation checking this out. Maybe thinking about, okay, hey, let me look into this guy, let me look into that guy. But yeah, the 2 USC guys and the Washington guy, those guys, they belong in the NFL. Let's just put it like that.
yeah. Dayvion Nixon too. I don't want to downplay him too. I really wish I could find out how athletic he is because that's the only thing that I couldn't tell from tape is he athletic? Is it the Big Ten? Like, that was the only thing with Dayvion Nixon, or I might have been higher on him. I just couldn't tell how athletic he is. I can't tell. And if I can't tell, then it's probably he's not as athletic as I thought. But then Daniel Jeremiah was like, he's super athletic, and I'm like, I don't see it, but so, you know what I mean. But I mean, I guess he's athletic for a defensive tackle, maybe. I don't know, but I didn't see like I went from Onwuzukike, then go to watch Nixon, and then watch Tuipulotu. It's just like that athleticism is not the same.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but he's like probably the like he's the guy that I gave I do like 1 through 7. And I gave him all 5s because he's just good.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So like basically like the floor is like, yeah, he can play in the NFL, but the ceiling is like,
yeah.
Is he ever gonna dominate? Probably not, But I don't know. I haven't seen Nixon, so I'm just going off what you're saying. But okay, that's interesting. Good to know. Good to know. All right. So yeah, So you did the draft scout portion.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, unless you are a complete fiend for all 22, okay, I'm about to get into free agents who are available. And let me just preface this: the defensive tackle market right now does not look good. The cupboard is bare. Okay, let's just put it like that. All right, so you might even look at this and be like, "What the heck is BD talking about here?" But I'm gonna start with a guy named Adam Buttler that I liked from Patriots. Okay, he's 6'5", 300 pounds, and he's never been a starter. Okay, which I watched a couple games and I'm like, wait, how is this guy not starting? He's dominating. Okay, and it took me a while to figure it out, but Patriots, they're a two-gap team. And every time he was on the field and he was asked to gap, he had really bad technique. And this guy is Adam Butler is a guy who likes to get penetration. He likes to get into the backfield. He likes to shoot gaps. And I just don't think that he is a scheme fit for what they do in New England. You know, that being said, he had like 4 sacks this year. He had some good plays on tape. So I think maybe, you know, a scheme change to Gus Bradley's defense would be interesting. Now, the next guy is Shelby Harris. Raiders fans, you know about Shelby Harris, okay? 6'2", 290 is the exact prototype of defensive tackle that Gus Bradley wants. That's Shelby Harris. We all know Shelby Harris. He's the most proven of all these guys that I'm going to talk about. Well, I might get into a star later on. And Shelby Harris, the thing that's interesting about him is he has become really an all-around, every down player. He plays 1 technique. He plays 3 technique. For Denver, he's a free agent. And the Raiders could use, you know, a veteran who knows about winning in the division or playing in the division at least, and a guy who can rush the passer. Now, this next guy he's an interesting guy. He's a tweener, Robertson-Harris. Okay, he played, you know, in a 3-4 defensive end. You know, sometimes most of the time he was rushing from the interior. Okay, he's got an interesting body type. He's never been, you know, anything more than a rotational player. He's set to become a free agent this year, and I think he has a very impressive physical skill set. Probably hasn't put it all together. You know, maybe the Raiders are thinking, hey, you know, with Rod Marinelli, maybe we can make this guy play some of the best football in his career. This is actually one of the funniest sacks I've ever seen in my entire life. He just pops back up and just takes Aaron Rodgers down. Never seen anything like that before. So he's a guy with a lot of physical traits, hasn't put it all together yet in the NFL. But 3 guys who I think are gap shooting interior guys, a little taller, you know, a little bit more height.
Yeah.
You look at how Gus Bradley was using Jerry Tillery with the Chargers, another guy who's like 6'6", 295, defensive tackle, you know, guy who's mostly just there to rush the passer. You know, I think that kind of mold of player were the guys that I was looking at. You know, there are some guys, Larry Ogunjobi. Don't think that that's the kind of player or kind of scheme fit for the Raiders. Okay. Sheldon Day, another guy. I don't know if he's necessarily a scheme fit for the Raiders. There was a lot of guys who were above 315 pounds. And look, if that's who the Raiders take, cool. I'm just going off of what the track record has been for Gus Bradley. So that's why I'm looking at players in free agency who are like at 300-pound range or below. Now, one thing though, Mike Mayock just brought up in his press conference that the Raiders didn't have any impact players, okay, at any level of defense, right? There's only one impact player on the defensive interior going into free agency this year, and that's Ndamukong Suh. Okay. Now, he's big. 300.
Oh, wait. Leonard Williams.
You think Leonard Williams is an impact player?
I mean, he got 11 sacks, didn't he? I mean, I would say that's impact. I mean,
yeah, he didn't have 11 sacks.
Yeah, he did.
He wasn't on spot rag as a free agent.
I swear he's a free agent. I swear he is. I could be wrong though. I could be wrong.
All right, I'll check with my producer about Leonard Williams. Yes. So how about this? I'll lump these two guys together, Leonard Williams and Ndamukong Suh. The thing about both those guys is, they have played everywhere in every scheme in the NFL. They played 3-4 defensive end. They played 3 technique. They played on over fronts, under fronts, odd fronts, even fronts. You name it. These guys can do every position on the defensive interior, essentially. Right.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I think Leonard Williams will probably be a better scheme fit
Yeah.
than Ndamukong Suh, right? But just given Mike Mayock's comments about getting an impact player, maybe you see the Raiders make a hard push for someone like that.
Yeah. Leonard Williams is 26, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he's just been in the league. I feel like I feel that way too. I feel like he's been in the league like 10 years for some reason.
But is he a free agent though?
Yeah, he is. He is a free agent.
Oh, you know what? He's probably, because on Spot Rack he was probably listed as a defensive end.
Oh yeah.
On Spot Rack.
He's getting franchise tag anyways, bro. Like, don't worry about that. He's like one of those free agents that's gonna get a franchise tag. Like, everybody knows it, but they try to act like he's not. So he's like on a free agent list, like Dak Prescott. Like, why is Dak Prescott?
Yeah, right.
He's not gonna be a free agent. You know what I mean? So yeah, Little Williams expensive. I don't think the Raiders could be a. I thought that you did a good job because the Raiders are gonna have to bargain shop. Straight up.
Yep.
I mean, that was the big thing about Mayock's thing too. He's like, I don't know what budget I'm gonna have. I don't know how much money I'm gonna thing. I don't, I'm gonna how much money I'm gonna be able to spend this time. So like I tried. I said that a couple episodes ago. Like, we got to get this pipe dream out there that the Raiders are just gonna go out there and just throw a bunch of money in the air and just cut everybody and throw 50K. I think they're gonna be a little bit more safe to the vest this time, and they're expecting Gus Bradley to develop what's there. And then,
so yes, Gus Bradley was brought in, and they told him, "Look, you're not getting the first pick of the draft. Okay, you're not getting high-priced free agents. We already did all that. They're there already. So make something happen. Yeah, and with the salary cap going down, budget up in the air. Yeah, I agree. I don't think that the Raiders, not many teams would have the salary cap to afford Leonard Williams after the year that he had.
well, he's 20 million guy.
Yeah, it's 20 million. And if you couldn't pay Khalil Mack 20 million, how are you gonna pay Leonard Williams 20 million? All right. And so Ndamukong Suh is possible because he's 34 years old. Okay. And at that point, he's not going to be a 20 million a year guy, at 34 or whatever, however old he is. I'm pretty sure Spot Rack said he was 34 years old. Yeah. And he's been playing in the NFL for a long time, So that would be cheaper. It would still be expensive. So, but I'm fully, getting ready for, some random guy.
The bargain bits. And so I gave you one of the guys you're talking about. I was like, well, you found some good dudes.
One of the guys, yes. One of those guys I talked about, we're talking about like $3 million a year. Okay.
That's what I'm talking about. Like some of those guys like, oh man, when the Patriots guy, he probably could be like 2. 2 years, $4 million, right? 2.5 guaranteed. That's like,
I will say that Patriots guy, Adam Buttler, that I was really impressed. I was really impressed with his take.
Yeah.
He had some dominant games. He's only started like he's played with the Patriots for 4 years.
Mm-hmm. He
never started more than 6 games in a year. He's never played more than 50% of the snaps. They only bring him in as a rotational kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of times that I was watching where he was getting penetration into the backfield, and it would kind of open up a run lane.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're an odd front defense, you don't do that. Like odd front defenses, you 2 gap your guy.
Yeah.
Right. And then as soon as that happened, he would get subbed out. You know what I'm saying?
That's Bill Belichick right there.
Right. So like
Adam.
You're right. It just seems like what his skill set is doesn't fit the Patriots defense. And just seeing when he was able to peel his ears back, he was getting penetration, like run game, pass game, whatever it was. He had some really good tape. So I think if he goes to a single gap team, we could see Adam Butler, actually become like a really good player in the NFL. So that would be the most exciting thing for me, would be the Adam Butler guy from New England.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it looked like he had some good tape there. Well, it was interesting just like hearing Mayock talk about a lot of things too. Just talk about like the work ethic of some of the rookies, and I get the Aguilar type of report coming out, him yelling at people, which I heard happen. I remember I heard he did something.
Oh yeah, okay.
But I didn't know that exactly what it was. But I guess it was him going into the locker room and just yelling at everybody after the Dolphins game and telling them that like they stopped caring, and which is interesting. It's interesting, like maybe what the culture is being built over there, like the accountability and stuff like that. Because I guess Gruden didn't like everybody just got quiet after that and kind of didn't say anything. So it's kind of
it's tough.
Awkward.
It's tough to hear about something that is happening from secondhand, and then also hear secondhand what people's reactions were, and then you're supposed to like analyze that. It's tough to really say what any of that means.
Yeah.
Because on any team, if you give up a lead, at the end of the game, people should be screaming at each other and be upset.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's only a thing because we're Raiders fans, and we're hearing about it in the Vic Tafur piece, well after the fact or whatever it is. But yeah, I mean, yeah, people should be saying that, and I hope that Nelson Aguilar wasn't like the only guy who was upset after that game was lost.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like or before any game. I mean, or maybe he was just, because I do think, and I mean, just from the Mayock's, things that he's saying, I think that they kind of misread some of the players they drafted. I think they didn't. They thought there would be, I guess, different character-wise. Because I don't, just some of the stuff he said about Dayvion Nixon could just rub me the wrong way. I don't like you should have known that. Like how much studying did you guys do before? I mean, there had to be something that told you.
Yeah,
because if you're not squeaky clean, if he's not squeaky clean in the NFL, then I mean, he was in college where he didn't even have to try that much. He's super talented, so like there had to be, something like a red flag to let you know if a guy's not squeaky clean. Because if he's not squeaky clean in the NFL, which a lot of those Ohio State corners aren't, or even the players, I guess I'm getting to little. Raider alert, Marcus.
Whoa.
Raider alert, Marcus. Baller alert, Raider alert, Marcus. Raider shade alert.
Yes. Hold on. Before you go further. Okay. They don't want squeaky clean guys. Reggie McKenzie wanted squeaky clean guys. Reggie McKenzie wanted, like the guy who was the captain, 4-year starter.
Mm-hmm.
Academic All-American, like that's what Reggie McKenzie wanted. He wanted the guys who, for the most part, who had like great character, right? Whereas I think what Mike Mayock and John Gruden, they're trying to toe that fine line of football character, So like, yeah, they're solid dudes. I'm not saying that they're not like good guys. But there's an edge. They want to have an edge. They want to have like the Max Crosbys and the Jonathan Abrams. They want guys who are a little bit more edgy. And sometimes, that goes south on you. And I do think that that's the reason why Lynn Bowden got traded early, is because they were like, okay, this guy's not a good, influence on our draft picks here. On our first round guys. So I think that that's the reason. It had nothing to do with, the player, everything to do with, some of those other things.
Mm-hmm.
And, you could pride yourself on being a great judge of character. And then you all of a sudden have to start doing Zoom meetings, at however old Mike Mayock is, 65 years old, probably, having a hard time unmuting himself on Zoom and, all that stuff. Like,
Yeah.
he's it's gonna knock you down a peg a little bit as far as like how good of a read you can get on guys. And I think that the teams that were able to adapt to that probably had better draft classes than the Raiders.
Yeah.
So,
It was interesting. I was watching I Am Athlete. Justin Jefferson was on there, and he's talking about how tough it was for him. But what I was thinking when he was saying that, because he's saying how like the off season and learning, he didn't learn the playbook until he got to the training camp. But I think the big difference between him and like Henry Ruggs is that he ran the West Coast offense in college. Like he ran the West Coast offense in college, and it was more of a spread out version, but it was the same concept, same look, same things,
same terminology, right?
Same
Because
terminology.
yeah,
same terminology, everything. So he came into a West Coast system and he was like, "Oh, okay, I did this before," and he was able to kill it. Like it was different for Henry Ruggs. I mean, Alabama's RPO system. They were RPO, and wasn't a lot of pro concepts in Alabama's system.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're not as pro ready as a wide receiver now. I mean, I know there's good wide receivers come out of Alabama. I'm not saying that, but um, if you are a development guy, which obviously Mayock and them saw Ruggs as a development guy based on what they said in their interviews, you're not gonna be as ready as Justin Jefferson is with no offseason. Like Henry Ruggs needs an offseason. He does to pick up that offense, and yeah, but the Damon Arnett stuff was a little concerning. I'm concerned about those comments that he made. Henry Ruggs was, I was like, okay, that makes sense. Henry Ruggs, nutrition. He's development, which I thought he was too. I thought he was an upside pick, and I kind of confirmed it. But the Arnett comments were just
correct me if I'm wrong. He basically was talking about how Arnett, things come so easy for Arnett that he doesn't work hard. That's what he said basically.
Which it's not good.
I mean, it seems like they're going after some of these guys.
Sounds like Garyon Conley to me. That's what I'm saying. Like those Ohio State guys. I mean, look at Jeffrey Okudah. I'm just saying, look at Okudah. Just wake up, and they got Quinton Cephas with his 4.7 over there.
Yeah, that's the best wide receiver they played. Was Quinton Cephas.
They wake up, they got Quinton Cephas. You know what I'm saying? Maybe
that's hilarious.
You know what I mean?
That's
so
hilarious.
Yeah. Garrett Conley had the same issue that I talk about because that was concerning. A little concerning to me.
Yeah, I mean, well, hopefully they reevaluate, reassess, and make some better picks. That's all I can say.
Because when he makes comments like that, man, it makes you think like, are they gonna add corners? Are they gonna what does he really think? I mean, he's obviously is like the defense is not good. So I mean, he's made it seem like everything is on the table.
Yeah,
every single position is on the table. So we don't know.
Right, and when you get a new defensive coordinator, and Mike Mayock has always said that he wants to draft the guys that the defensive coordinator wants. So I do think everything's on the table here. So
yeah, everything's on the table, bro.
We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out more about who the Raiders think that they have based on free agency and the draft. So stay tuned, Raider Nation. Thanks for sticking in here with us, watching the draft scout Marcus versus the pro scout BD. Okay. Today we talked about defensive tackles. Raiders need for defensive tackles. Marcus broke down some great Pac-12 guys. I showed you some bargain basement defensive tackles that are set to be free agents. Mm-hmm. And so take that with a grain of salt. This is just some educated guesses and breakdowns of guys who will be available. Stay tuned. We're gonna go through tackles, free safeties, running backs, maybe edge rusher if we get to it. So stay tuned for all that, Raider Nation. Make sure you guys follow us on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @BDWilliams18. Marcus is @TheMarkJohnNFL. Holla at you guys.
Peace out.